Welcome to the Gen Z Journey, where we work with you through an entrepreneurial lens to build a wholesome perspective on life and build both our business and personal dreams together. Join our community on Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn at Gen Z Journey. So, hello and welcome to another Gen Z Journey podcast. You're joined today with Matt, and it's our first in-person podcast, and I'm super excited to be doing this, really am. We did record with Matt a couple of weeks ago, but we had some technical issues, and so he was going to be released like a week ago, I think we planned, but things have changed. But I'm super happy to have him back and to go through his story again. And so yeah, we'll start off with your background. Let's just introduce yourself first.
So I'm Chaotic Media, or Matt Santos, and I own Chaotic Media, and I'm an automotive photographer, lifestyle photographer, portrait photographer, weddings, video, whatever. So I do lots of video and photo, and that's basically my full-time job, So yeah, went to a little bit of college for it, and did high school for it too. So now I'm ended up here, got lucky, and started my own business.
Yeah, and Matt's awesome. And like I always say at the start of these podcasts, we really want you just to get to know the guests really deeply, get to know their background, how they got to where they are now. Because like the stuff you're doing, I think is just crazy. Because some of the stuff, even the shoot you did was like last week, I think. Yeah. Those Mustangs doing some rolling shots, they were crazy. Yeah. So it's amazing to see someone go through that journey, and that's what we really want to get you guys to see and hear more about of how he got where he is. So let's talk more about that. How now you're Chaotic Media, that's your business now, but there's a lot that went into that beforehand, right? So where did you start with film, photography, videography? Where did that all begin for you?
So it began in high school. I was for a long time just doing like small news anchoring stuff for our local high school, and then like sports events. And from there, went to college where I was more like software related, trying to do like computer editing and stuff for videos, and got like a lot more technical with it, learned Photoshop, learned After Effects, all the video editing, all the photo editing softwares, and finally that's when I decided that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So from there I bought a camera, got lucky, got a super sick deal on a camera, and started shooting my own car. And because I didn't want to pay people to take pictures of my car, so I was like, okay, start with the camera again. And from there it kind of took off. I started taking pictures of local cars, and then people started hitting me up, and that's when I was like, okay, I could maybe start charging for this. And then one thing led to the next, and people from states away asked me to like come travel and go there and take pictures of their cars. So just one small step just turned into this, so that's where I am right now.
And Matt's incredibly humble. Incredibly humble. Like he's saying,
I'm lucky.
One thing led to the next. That's some crazy talent to just be taking photos, constantly learning and getting to that standard. Yeah, you're incredibly humble.
Yeah.
But your car history is, obviously he's a car guy, taking pictures of cars and stuff. But your car history just fascinates me. So you started off taking pictures of your cars in high school and stuff, but like, how many cars have you had between them? Like,
probably hundreds. So I went from like shooting old cars, old like JDMs and old Mustangs, to like sooner or later going up to like Lamborghinis, and then now to like Paganis and Zondas, and like racing cars, like one of 4 or 5 in the world. It's like never would I ever think I would be shooting like cars like that, but yeah, I've gotten extremely lucky situations where I got to be able to do that. So yeah,
that's amazing.
That's really cool. Yeah.
And what was the Vegas story, wasn't it? With the
probably SEMA would be definitely would be my most up there one.
Take people through that experience. You said it's over 3 days, right?
Yeah. So
that was just just in terms of like a whole amalgamation of passion, enjoyment, like those 3 days just seemed out of this world,
Oh, it was just amazing. Like I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, drove 8 hours to Vegas in my VW with
VW Club.
VW Club, yes. With a Ferrari's set of tires in the back seat of my Jetta, because I was meeting up with somebody who I knew who had a Ferrari, and they were like racing down there. So went down there, went to SEMA, saw like hundreds of thousands of cars that are all modified and stuff, and got lucky. And after the third day, when the event ended, everyone, stays up overnight and like wants to take pictures because that's what they're there for, kind of. So from probably 8 p.m. all the way to like 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, we were out shooting pictures of like Las Vegas and like the Ferris wheels and like the dunes and like all over Las Vegas. We were just rolling around downtown in like Ferraris, like wide body Ferraris, wide body Lamborghinis. Craziest experience of my life.
You saw a Liberty Walks?
Yes, a Liberty Walk V2. I stumbled
upon
it.
No way.
So it was 8 o'clock at night, and my friend with the Ferrari went to sleep. He wasn't feeling well, so I was like, okay, well, I'm bored, I want to shoot some cars. And I hit some people up and they didn't respond, so I was like, I'm just gonna roll down the strip. I ended up seeing the Strad man rolling with, like, I don't know if you guys know who Strad man is, very, very popular YouTuber, rolling down in his Jeep, and then his Lamborghini Supra, like outside the back of his Jeep, literally hanging out the back, trying to get roller shots of the three cars. And then all of a sudden a Liberty Walk Huracan comes up, and one of my best friends is sitting in the passenger seat, and he's just like yelling at me, follow me. I'm in my VW trying to catch up to the Lamborghini. And I tried following him, and we ended up meeting up with him and just started taking photos. And that was like from 8 p.m. and just went through the whole entire night. It was amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's one in a lifetime stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely. And then the next morning, same thing happened. I was with my friend with the Ferrari and ended up running into this like custom wide body BMW where I took more shots. It was just on and on, just next after next. It was mind blowing.
That's a dream.
Yeah,
That's a dream
it was
for
sure. That's one of the many that have happened.
All from hard work though, right?
Yeah, definitely hard work, but a little bit of partying there. It's Vegas, but yeah, still, we had a reason there. So.
Yeah, of course. And so what were, we kind of touched on, you said about college and high school and stuff. So let's go back to that before we get on to all the cool stuff that you've been doing and are doing now. So like you said, it started just with getting a camera, taking some pictures and just progressing from there. But what was your high school and then college experience? Was this something you always knew you wanted to get into, or is it something that was kind of like, I just get a lot of enjoyment out of this and I want to continue that? Like what was that experience of leaving college in the end and going all in on there?
Well, so in high school, I've always been like a nerd. I've always been into like computers and computer games and stuff. And so like I used to build computers, and in high school I actually took like a computer building class, and then also like I was thinking what other things I could take that are similar. So I took photography, videography, and I think it was like journalism, or it was like the yearbook class or whatever, something like that. But yeah, it was.
And my sister's behind the camera today, and that's where she's at.
Awesome. Well, it was actually it was 3 classes, all by the same teachers. So I literally stood in the first 3 classes, the same exact class for the first 3 classes. And I would just sit there, and I was like a lot more advanced than some of the students because I've been working with some of the stuff for a long time. So he trusted me with like all the cameras. He trusted me with all the video editing. So immediately I was doing all the editing for the high school for like the local news and like all the stuff like that, which was awesome. I didn't think that's where I would want to be going, but it was awesome to be trusted with that right away. And ended up like loaning out a camera or renting out a camera for a couple of weekends, doing some of the sports for the high school and stuff like that. And always had fun like with it. It was always something I never thought about, but definitely what I wanted to like maybe get into. It's, it's like computer related. So I've always been interested in computers. So from there, I knew I wanted to be like doing photo or video. I was like, this is it. This is something I want to do. So in college, I was like, what could I do? And I immediately wanted to do more advanced. So I was going to go to this college called Expressions. It's in Emeryville. It's like it's for a lot of stuff, but mainly I wanted to go for like 3D motion graphics thing, kind of what we were talking about earlier. But pretty much like all 3D animation, like huge, movies that what they work on, like CGI stuff. So it's what I wanted to do at first, but after dwelling on it for a year and kind of like the expensive, college and all that stuff, I kind of dimmed down and just went to a local, community college, LOSPO.
Where I'm at.
Yeah.
Go Hawks, go Hawks.
Yeah, go Hawks, yes. I just thought that's like a good start, and that's, all you kind of need for the basics. You're not going to start off in those more advanced classes right away anyway, so you're going to have to get those beginning basic stuff down. So I did all that, pretty much graduated with a BA from there, and from there I got immediately, actually right before I graduated, I immediately got asked by one of the local production companies to come work for them, because by then I already had my camera and I was already shooting cars, and I knew the manager. I used to go to high school with him, and he was like, yo, I've seen what you've been doing. Like, would you be willing to come along and work for a production company? And I was like, this is exactly what I wanted to do. This is literally, I'm skipping the college step. So that's literally what I did. I skipped going to second college and immediately just started working for the production company. And it's just been a blast ever since. It's been amazing. It taught me a lot. It taught me, how to be professional and sell and do marketing and do all of the stuff you wouldn't think about,
That's a huge part of it in the creative industry. I know, like, you have the talent, obviously, but then it's nothing if you can't do the business side of it, of selling it, marketing it, all of that kind of things. But it's a brilliant story of just your passion as well, of like, I just really enjoyed it and I just followed that. And like, I think that's for a lot of people that don't necessarily have that so young. I think you're lucky in the sense that you just really enjoy computers, and I think for people that don't have that when they're young, they just get lost into following others. Like, oh well, that'll work, I'll get through.
Or they change, college, type of whatever major they want to do. Yeah,
exactly. They're just not in it because they're not enjoying it.
Yeah, I did get extremely lucky with that, being able to like know what I wanted to do from the start and be able to continue. Yeah, definitely.
100%. And so I was going to ask you as well on kind of the next side of things, with that moving a little bit more into the present, I guess, but like. The whole social media scene, the whole social media side of things, and like that new area of marketing and how people get themselves out there. Has social media, I mean, your Instagram's amazing, but has social media been a huge part of your journey to get to where you are now?
Definitely. So, kind of side story. So back a long time ago, before I started picking up a camera, I was doing the video editing. I did like small video edits for like Call of Duty videos, video game videos. And I used to do it for this clan, which was kind of me and my friend's clan. Is called Chaotic. And that's when I was like, okay, this is going to be a cool name to use. So I kind of stuck with that name ever since I was a little kid. I've always like done that because it was a big part of my childhood. So I was like, one day I always had my personal Instagram. And I was like, you know what, this is something I want to do. I'm just going to delete my personal Instagram, delete all my personal stuff off it, and just immediately start uploading like car pictures. And I took a big step. I still don't have a personal Instagram, which I probably should, but from there, I immediately just changed my name on there to Chaotic Media. I was like, this is something I want to do. And Chaotic was taken, so I couldn't do that. So I put media at the end, thought it was kind of nice. And ever since then, I blew up. It blew up. Probably within 3 weeks of going to like local car meets and stuff, people started DMing me on like social Instagram. Yeah, it was awesome. It was definitely awesome.
That's how we got in contact as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I love that though as well. It's like I probably should have a personal one. It's like you're all about the brand. It's like it's everything is behind the brand. I love that. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a definitely hard transition at first to like try to like start uploading all the time and like not like worry about the personal life stuff and like push more of the branding, because I didn't know what it was going to be. I kind of just was doing it more for fun, like, hey, this is a business, but it wasn't even close to what I thought was a business back then. So from it to transform to where it is now is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally get you on that kind of like as you just progress through social media and like making it a part of your life in a business sense as well is like, it's really huge. And that's been a transition with the Gen Z that I've been trying to make as well. As like, it is to grow a brand on social media, online now, it's like you got to be very, very active, and that's posting, creating content, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so it's been a real journey for myself and all of us, in the sense that how do we do that in a balanced way? Because trying to create content all the time can be super tiring and and it loses the enjoyment as well.
So last year I actually had a rule, well maybe 2 years ago now, where I forced myself to post every single day of the year. And there's a few days where I skipped, but I dang near posted every single day of the year. I couldn't do that this year, obviously, because of quarantine and, a little bit of business stopped and stuff. But yeah, it was one of the hardest things ever to like try to do that much content and push that much content all the time. But it was definitely like good discipline. Like I wish I could do that this year, but with all this going on, it's kind of hard.
And is that, when you say a picture every day, is that like a new picture, or is that just like a bunch from different
So it was, kind of how I post right now, it was like, a set. So I would post like 3 pictures in a row, but it would be from one shoot, and that would be like 3 days of the week. Yeah. So it was definitely
You're still
hard.
shooting a lot of photos.
Yeah, I was shooting a lot of photos. Luckily, we did like the year before for that Christmas, we did a free shoot for the whole month. Every weekend we would go to this Alameda place. Like it's like has the SF background in it. Beautiful place. And we'd shoot there every single weekend for free for people, just for Christmas, like from us photographers. And luckily I had a lot of content from that month. So I was like, for the first 3 or 4 months, I was lucky and I was catching up from that month. But after that, it was a huge push. I was like, hitting people up nonstop, like, hey, you want to shoot? Giving discounts even, just so I could like push myself out there. Because that was when I had like no followers, I still have no followers, but
5,500.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true, but still, there's a lot more improvement.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, and speaking of locations, actually for shoots and stuff, one of my favorite ones on your Instagram is was it the Nissan? I'm pretty sure it was the R35.
Oh yes, yeah.
In front of the ships.
Yes.
There's like 2. I've been to the spot. I didn't realize that's where
that's the USS Hornet, actually. Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah.
And I've been to that spot and thought, wow, this is being crazy. And he's taken a couple of pictures down there, and they were amazing. But you did like a full few days there doing that
so
was when you were
like
first starting out, right?
Yeah, actually like even a month or 2 ago, about probably 2 months ago, I went there 7 days out of the week. Literally every day someone, because I took one shoot and it blew up, and everyone was like, where is this, please let me shoot here. And I wouldn't get a location out unless they did a shoot with me.
Yeah, of course.
So I was like, hey, just come do a shoot. And
that's an interesting kind of, because you must find some pretty crazy locations.
Oh yeah, I do a lot of, that's a part of the business. You got to stay on Google Maps. Location scout as much as possible, which is one of the tedious things about being a photographer, is you always location scouting.
Yeah.
But it's nice, because if you're ever just driving around, you're like, oh, that spot looks cool. Yeah. You can just memorize it.
My buddy's also a photographer. I've told you about him, and he says it's like that now. It's just like a subconscious action. It's like you're driving around. Oh, it's a good spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's a good spot. Like
exactly.
Yeah. It's that's definitely true. Mm-hmm. There's some. I found some spots down in Santa Cruz. Actually, it would be amazing.
Oh, cool.
Shots. I'll have to show you.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be down. Take the Mustang.
Yeah, we should. But the other thing I was referring to was when you were first starting out in kind of that photography. Didn't you do an event on the USS Hornet?
Yeah. So actually, the first. Right when I started with the production company, right after college, it was like literally right after college. One of the first events I did for the production company was where I stayed like 3 days on the USS Hornet. It was almost like 14, 16-hour days, 18-hour days, and they had this huge event. Forgot what it was for. It was for a different production company in San Francisco. I don't remember for what company it was for, but they had this huge event where the whole USS Hornet was filled with different stages and stuff. And like we had 3 or 4 people who were filming every single section, and we would switch off just to get up and move around. But each like it was whole like hour-long like presentations and stuff, like huge, like just hundreds of people. And I was sitting up in the back in the USS Hornet, and small like battleships are and stuff. Like sitting up there for like 12, 16, 18 hours is so tiring, but it was awesome, because like one of the first events I did was like going on to the USS Hornet and doing such like big things like that. It was awesome, where I didn't really care about how long I was there for,
Oh yeah, because you just caught up.
Yeah, exactly. It was so exciting to me. And like being able to like sit there, and we'd have to get there almost at sunrise, because they would start at like 6 a.m. So we'd go out the first thing, a couple of us would go out to the front of the battleship and just watch sunrise with SF right there.
Oh.
And then to be able to, you know, work all day and then like take a break at like sunset and go back out again and watch sunset right there, it was just, couldn't beat it. Could not beat it. Yeah, it was worth every second. It was amazing. But pretty much slept on that boat. It was definitely funny.
It must have been super claustrophobic there with all the gear. If you're like carrying stuff around, trying to walk through.
Well, we had like, back then we had huge cameras. Like it wasn't nowadays where, you know, you have like a Sony. Yeah, so like it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. It was the same type of cameras and stuff as we use now as like news, because some of it was live. So it was just huge cameras, like boxes. Like I don't even remember what they were called, but they were just massive, and trying to like have two huge suitcases with power cables and like other stuff wrapped around you, cables around your shoulders, and a big like, you know, camera trying to walk in between all the battleship's small doors. It's like, it was something else. I'm telling you, I was sore for a week or so after that, but it was definitely an experience. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's definitely super fun. And so, I mean, so there's some of just the amazing stories and experiences you've had so far, but like, are there any others that really like events or times you just spent either shooting or just out with cars or different things that you've just really enjoyed?
Oh yeah, I could name plenty. The one that probably crosses the top of my mind, it just popped up on my recent memories on my Snapchat, so it, you know, popped up, but is when I went down to LA in a Ferrari GT3 with my friend Danny. We went down there.
Same one from SEMA?
Yes, yeah, same one from SEMA. He let me come down with him. He was tuning the Ferrari, and while we were doing it, he was there for a rally. So right before the rally, he wanted to tune the Ferrari and just make it like pop, like make it like do tons of flames and stuff. So literally that night, we went there super early morning to sunrise. They tuned the car all day. We were out to like midnight waiting for the car. Got the car, and we start like driving down the freeway, and this thing's like shooting 6-foot flames at the back. And we're like, okay, so we're ready for the rally tomorrow. We show up for the rally tomorrow, and there's hundreds of supercars. I've never seen so many supercars in the like the same freeway or the same parking spots, you know? Hundreds of supercars, and like we're all going, you know,
going the speed limit
down the freeway.
You're in Mexico, right?
Yeah, I was in Mexico, yeah. But just to be able to like shoot flames next to these guys, and everyone's like in supercars, like looking at us like with their jaw drops. It was amazing. And then from the rally, we drove all the way from LA to down the Pacific Coast Highway back to Monterey for Monterey Car Week.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was awesome. It was amazing. It was one of the best experiences ever. Like being able to do that and like drive with Bugattis and supercars and stuff, and be able to impress all, you know, it wasn't me impressing them, but I was still vlogging it, and like seeing all these guys impressed by just this car alone, you know, and then plus it's shooting 6-foot flames, and
that's crazy.
Going down the beach, you know, for 6 hours. It was awesome. It was just unbelievable.
That's amazing. And so I got to ask, what is to this day, what's the most amazing car that you've seen or shot?
So probably arguably would be either that Ferrari, the 458 GT3, just because it's so rare.
It's so rare. Yeah, there's 4 in there.
There's probably 5 or 6 now, maybe more. Can't quote me because some are being built still. But like properly done and probably finished is probably around 4 or 5 right now. Yeah, legally, that are street legal. There's the racing edition, obviously, where they race in like Italy and stuff or wherever. But yeah, like street legal ones is like definitely like 4 or 5, which is crazy. The other one would have to be a Pagani Zonda F, which is like a $3 million car. Yeah, lucky, super lucky. He actually owns 2 Paganis, and he's in the Bay Area, so
really,
yeah.
Wow, wow. That's crazy. Yeah, they're beautiful cars.
They're beautiful cars. Yeah, amazing.
All right, well, let's move more into the present of kind of where you are now, with Chaotic Media, and like when you started that, and how you just before we get like right onto that, but how did you transition then from that production company over into doing your own business now of Chaotic Media?
Well, so I always kind of had chaotic media. It was always a side thing. It was always, I love shooting cars, so go shoot on the weekends and then work during the week. So that's what I pretty much did. And that's how I got hired by the production company, was through that. So I was never going to let that go. So I was always, the production company, we were shooting weddings and business stuff. And then on the weekend, I would just shoot cars. And that was right around the time when the guy with the Ferrari hit me up and was like, I started working with him, and I started seeing it more as an actual business. Like at first I always saw it more as a side hobby. I couldn't get enough money off of it to make it a business. So I was like, just push it to the side. But when it started picking up more and more and more, and then going into like vlogging a little bit, and like, doing a lot more like YouTube videos for other people, it was definitely starting to look more into a business. So that's when I started keeping in mind that I could do this full time. So that's what I did. I took the initiative once, like with my other company, I kind of saw some flaws and saw some other stuff. I'm not going to discuss the company what happened. But long story short, I quit. I was not happy with, staying there. I loved it. I got so many, I learned so much from it, got so many experiences, but it's time to move on, time to grow my own business. And, that the same with my partner. I have a partner who did the same thing. He started his own business too, because we were both just so inspired by like the creativity and stuff itself, and like what we could do. So we just went on our own, and that's where it turned into what it was. Is like from going from working weekends and stuff to trying to take days off just to do extra car shoots during the week. When I was like, okay, I could do this full time. So that's what I did.
Would you say as well, I find this with a lot of people that we talk that have kind of been in that position where they've been working and trying to make their side stuff the main, is that it really gets to that point where it's like, okay, I go this way or I go this way.
Exactly.
You just can't like do both anymore. So.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Awesome. And I think another thing that you said really important there was how when it's like the right time to move on, it's the time to move on. No matter, like, it's very easy to build up loyalties, right, to companies, to individuals, to whatever. But when a company, individual, or experience is giving you as much as it can, it's okay to move on.
Definitely. Change is always good. And, like staying, like you said, the loyalty and staying with the company is one thing. And but moving on and growing is another thing. And if you can grow and change in a good way from it, or if you at least think you have a shot, take it. You only live once. You never want to go back and say, hey, I regret not doing it. That's something I was like, hey, I'm young, I can afford to buy a new camera and take the hit and like start this and see if I don't make money and then go back into another job. I have that time in my life to do it right now, so why not? And that's where I got lucky, and I started, blowing up, and it went from what it is to what it is now, or what it was to what it is now.
Absolutely, and you're so right. No one gets out of life alive, do they? So may as well do something you really enjoy.
Exactly.
And kind of related to that then is I was going to ask is, who have been some individuals that have been really influential on your journey so far, both just in life and also in photography?
So I would probably say like 3 maybe individuals that have helped me a lot grow to where I am now. One of them being like my best friend since high school, my partner right now in my business. He is the one that pulled me from my job and from college and hired me at that production company. And he's taught me so much now about like video and like extra stuff I didn't know about photos and stuff. From like the smallest stuff to exposure to like, in-depth like 3D motion graphics designing. He's taught me everything. His name's Mike Brooks. He owns Starry Night Production, and he is just amazing. I've known him since high school, and he's taught me like so much. It's where I can't not say him. It's just been thankful that he's done that. And some other people would probably be this guy named Jody Amos. He's the one that owned Amos Productions, the company that I worked for.
Okay.
He was the one that owned it, and he also taught me a lot. So I have to give credit to both of them. Mike being the one that hired me, and Jody also being the one that participated in helping me learn all that stuff. The third one I would say is Danny. Danny P. He's the one that hired me for the vlogging for his Ferrari. So without him, I wouldn't have been able to travel, go to all those places. Yeah, so that alone is just a huge shout out, just because like the memories alone in a year that I had with that guy is just through the roof. I would never be able to do this stuff again without him. So definitely those three people for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. And like, would you say as well that you've moved on for those people now? Like they're still, obviously they're still part of your life, still friendly with them, but in terms of that, what we were just talking about before, of when it's okay to move on from those, have you or are you?
So Mike and I are still best friends. We co-own a business, or are both our businesses actually. We help each other out. So our businesses are real businesses now, and like he mains in video and I main in
businesses. I love
right. He mains in video, I main in photo, so like we're always side by side, you know, everyone always needs both, so we're always working together, always buying, you know, each other, investing in each other's businesses, so it's amazing. I still get to work with him and by ourselves, being our own bosses, so he's still a part of my life. Jody Amos, he is no longer, you know, I quit, so don't have that relationship anymore. But, you know, nothing against the guy. He was awesome, you know, just it's time to move on. And same goes for Danny. I was vlogging for him for a while, but it was just getting so busy trying to be at the production company and trying to like vlog for him and then try to have a life. It was just not working. Like having the production company alone is like 100 hours out of the week, you know, and then trying to have a personal life and try to vlog for someone else who wants a full-time vlogger is just, it was hectic. I couldn't find enough time in the day to do all of it. And I did take on more than I could chew probably, but it was definitely all experience and worth learning what I wanted to do. So I moved on from both of them and sticking with my own business. And right now I'm trying to like kind of make sure my whole business is like cleaned up, you know, clean up my website, clean up like some other stuff. But yeah, it's time to grow, you know, move on and make sure my brand is what it is so I can grow.
Absolutely, definitely. Yeah. And so tell us more about Chaotic Media. Let's move into like what you're doing now. With it, you said you're cleaning stuff up. But when was it founded? When did you like really go all in on it?
So probably founded 5-6 years ago. I don't know, I have the exact date. I could probably find it when I transferred my personal life Instagram to my, you know, my business profile. But that's probably when it really was founded. And from there, it's been taken off, you know, it blew up and I got lucky, started getting hit by a lot of car customers and like, it's been amazing. But just recently, I would say, is when I wanted to branch out more. You know, I did a lot of weddings, I did a lot of business events, I did a lot of corporate stuff related like video and photo for the production companies. So that's when I wanted to figure out how I could pull all this stuff into my own company. Like not the customers themselves, but just the type of like genre of shooting and, you know, stuff. I wanted to do it all. I didn't want to just do just cars anymore. So that's where I'm at now. I'm kind of like in the middle of trying to create my website to where I could branch out to all these different types of businesses and not just cars. And I'm getting lucky right now. I'm getting a lot of like portraits, like girls that want, you know, portraits or grad photos or even wedding clients right now, which is nice. So I'm in that middle, I guess that middle ground where I'm going from just automotive to now branching out to different areas. So that's where I'm at currently. I'm definitely not finished with it, but hopefully soon it's going to be finished. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's all part of that journey, you know?
Yeah.
And so what have been, because when did you, I didn't ask that question, when did you finish at the production company?
So that was probably December of last year. So literally recent, yeah.
Oh wow,
yeah.
okay.
So super recent, yeah. That's when I full on was like, okay, I'm quitting. I'm gonna go all in on my company, you know, just.
Oh, and then COVID.
Mm-hmm, exactly. That's another thing is we actually had started social media marketing. That's another type of thing I wanted to do, and so we had 4, 5, 6 businesses down here just in Livermore that wanted to us to do their social media marketing for them, and literally just started doing it. Probably first weekend we had all their accounts. We had like, you know, we were started posting, we were started creating content, and then boom, COVID happened. So yeah, it took a big hit, you know, quitting the job, you know, taking all that money lost, investing into my company and like trying to like branch out to new areas and learning all this shit for that to happen. But you know, it happens. Everyone took the hit. There's, you know, it's a hard time right now, but you know, just got to push through.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's cool. You say you're doing some social media marketing for local businesses. Something I first considered when I came out here. I came out here a year ago.
Oh, okay.
And so that was one of the things. It was like, okay, how can I earn a bit of cash on the side? You know, go through college and all that. And that was one of the things. But I just didn't feel I had enough experience in the area yet, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's the hard thing too, is like you have to kind of have like trust with like the clients themselves. Like you almost like you've been there and you can like tell them how you're going to make their business better, you know? And that's the hard part, is you have to really kind of like be there for a little bit and know how you could do it and like know the area. And yeah, I could see why you would want to like wait a little bit, find an area around, you know, get some experience in it. Yeah.
How did you make that transition? I know it's a thing that a lot of people struggle with, and is how did you value yourself and your service? You know, because it's a huge struggle for people in getting to that point of, you know, oh yeah, no, this is how much this is going to cost you, because it's nice doing things, taking the photography, doing the content for them, managing different things, but when did you start being able to go like, hey, yeah, no, this is how much I charge, and how did you develop it?
Well, the hardest part about it is it's not like anything else where you're like selling a product that you know it's worth this much, because you know you take the product price and then you add your value and whatnot. It's not like that. It's so much harder than that, because it's like it's almost what people value your work as. It's not what I value it, because I could value it like so much higher than what I, you know, actually sell it for. And that was the hard part at first. So at first I would always do shoots, you know, for free, because it was a hobby. It was something I just loved to do, and I wanted to learn more and gain experience. So that's what I did. And when people started hitting me up a lot more and more frequently, that's when I was like, okay, you know, I could start charging for this. So the hardest part was figuring out the starting price, because it's like, okay, well, I want to make money off it. You know, how much am I spending going in this? You know, I bought a camera, I, you know, paid $20 in gas to go wherever, you know, so you have to weigh in all these factors. And I also like took local photographers around here and asked their prices and like, you know, how much they charge for certain things. And that was a good way to value myself at first. So I started at like $50-$60, you know, which was very cheap. It still is very cheap. But it was a good starting point, you know, because I was like, okay, at least it's getting something rather than free, it's value. And then I can always go up from there. So immediately, like, everyone started hitting me up because it was such a low price. So I was like, okay, I need to start going up, I guess. So I started going up from there, and then, you know, doubled it and doubled it again. And now I'm kind of in a comfortable spot where I'm like, okay, you know, like, I know nobody would pay like $200 or more for a photo shoot, because that's just, you know, sometimes ridiculous. It depends on the car, obviously, and like the situations. But like, you know, you start to know your value, and then kind of like what the actual value of what it would be, and you kind of start mixing it in between. And that's how I finally figured out what a good price is for my work.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you were saying, the consideration of time and gas, and the outgoings for you.
Exactly.
And the other one I realized only the other day for myself was knowledge. You know, people pay for your knowledge.
Oh, that's something we were talking about before.
Yeah, exactly. Is that they, like, if you're saving someone perhaps like 6 months of learning, then you're saving them that much time, that much effort, and so you can charge accordingly.
Definitely,
too.
yeah.
You know, that's a big thing. And if for online courses, is that, you know, you'll pay, they're like $1,000 for an online course, and it's like, people look at it and be like, that's a crazy amount of money. But actually, if you take that course and it saves you 7 months of learning about finance or something, then that $1,000 is a great investment, because the return might be a saving of $2,000 over the next 6 months. You know,
definitely.
And that's why I wanted to bring in there, because I wanted to plug one of our other guests as well, Jedediah Collins, ex-NFL player, great guy, really genuine, and he's just started his online course, online financial course. And in the September time, as we're going to be moving obviously back into more online classes, I'm going to be online in the new fall semester. So he's moving into a couple of universities with this financial education course. And so, you know, you can find the link to that on our website. You can go and check that out. and go and just do the course. I think at the moment he's selling it for only $100, which
Dang.
is crazy.
That is crazy. That's actually a great investment.
It's $100. It's a financial literacy course. I'm doing it right now. I'm about halfway through, and it's already I've managed to change my budgeting to save about 40 to 50% of my income a month.
Dang.
From it. So like the return on $100 is just crazy. And it's like 37 videos. You can get involved in a community afterwards. It's like it's an amazing program. So I definitely encourage people towards that, just to gain that knowledge. You know.
Yeah, and that's definitely that value of knowledge alone is another thing. Is like that's how saving that a time, from a customer from learning that, and like that's something you have to add to your own value when selling it. That's definitely something huge.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Like the locations.
Yeah, that's another thing.
That's
another thing. Like, hey, this location I found all on my own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
where my next question for you is, where is Chaotic Media going? What's your vision for it? Where do you want to be, further down the line?
So further down the line, I hope to, it's kind of like in two directions right now. So I was hoping back when I was like more into cars and automotive, like full time, I was hoping it would go like, not like worldwide, but almost like that, where I could start traveling a lot more for shoots. And I've gotten lucky enough to just travel around like California or even outside of California just for shoots. And that's amazing alone. But it's such a big price to pay, because, now you're paying, instead of just for local stuff like gas and stuff, you're paying for airport tickets, flights, like where you're going to live, food, all that stuff you got to keep in mind. So once I kind of figured all that, I didn't want to start like traveling all that much. I love traveling, but it's like a huge burden, So then I was like, okay, that's when I started taking stuff like from the production company where I was like, okay, I want to do like maybe weddings and like some other stuff. So that's where I'm at right now, is where I want to do, cars full time for sure, but I also want to be able to do like school portraits for people, or like weddings, or like social media marketing. So my plan hopefully is to like be local, and to the point where like, Bay Area, so fairly more than local, but just to stay, kind of close to home, and like just be able to do the business around me, be able to like do photo shoots with my friends, or like, like grad photos for other people, or portraits, because like being on your feet and being into like all those different types of genres is just like awesome, because it keeps you on your toes. It keeps like your knowledge up. Like you always learn new things from the different genres alone. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
No, I like that, because you're not pushing. If you go in one genre like the car stuff, you might get really in your comfort zone and find that boring, right? Mm-hmm. I like that. That's really cool. That's really cool. So the next question I was going to ask you is, how do you separate your work and your play? Because I know for a photographer, for a videographer, that's super hard to do, because like we said earlier, you're seeing places all the time, and you're like, oh, I wish I had my camera right now, or whatever. So how do you do that with like friendship groups and stuff? Because I'm sure as well, a lot of your friends are like, if you're there with them, it's like, oh well, we've got a cameraman, we've got someone who could capture this. But like how do you separate it?
So that's actually kind of funny you asked that, because like a question I get a lot is like, oh, what do you like to do for fun? And I'm like, oh, I like to photograph. And then people are like, wait, that's your full-time job? And I'm like, yeah, but I like to do it for fun. So sometimes I got to learn to like put the camera down and not work, because like I don't think about it sometimes, and I'm like, oh, that'd be a cool shot. Or even when I'm with my friends, they're like, oh, you should take some pictures of us. I'm like, yeah. Sometimes I just got to learn to put the camera down and forget that I'm a photographer sometimes, and just enjoy the experiences, because otherwise I get too worked up, and then I got to like edit those pictures and then really work, and then I'm not making money. And then it's like, okay, then I got to start thinking like, this is my business. I can't be spending all this time, for free stuff. So it is very hard for me to like differentiate fun and like business, especially being a photographer and everybody asking for pictures or video or stuff. That's definitely a hard thing, but I would say that's pretty much my fun. Like I that's something I do on the side and full time. It's almost like it's like my passion and the hobby and one. Like it's.
And I think it's important you say that as well, even someone who's so skilled like yourself doing the photography is that it does take away from the moment and the experience, trying to capture it, and you know, so I think it's definitely important for people to get that balance as well.
Definitely.
You know, I appreciate the process of like video making, and I'm starting to get into it myself a little bit more. So it's super fun. I love doing it, but there's also times of like, yeah, this could be filmed, we could be making a sick edit or whatever right now, but actually I'm just really enjoying the time with my friends, my family, whoever it is. So it's a good balance to get, for sure. Definitely. And the other thing I came across recently, and I don't know if you come across this, but approaching content from a different perspective now of like, I think previously, a lot in the past, it was like content creation, right? That was the key word. You create content by going out and doing cool activities, going and do car shoots, just doing anything, but you go out for the purpose of creating content. But now just finding a way to document rather than create is really key to that. And that's what we're trying to move towards with like the Gen Z journey is a huge thing. It's like, yeah, there's a huge amount of work that goes in behind the scenes, but actually a lot of that could be valuable to people.
Oh yeah.
You know, seeing how we run the podcast, seeing how we, you know, network with guests to bring them on, is like seeing some of that stuff and how that goes on is just as valuable as going out and recording a podcast like right now, you know?
Definitely, yeah. That's one thing where I have to improve my business on, is a lot of people have asked me like, oh, hey, you should vlog like you doing a photo shoot just so we can learn how you do it, and like, you know, the angles you do, or like, you know, how far from a car, like, you know, the things you could do on your camera. And I've always like wanted to do the vlogs, like, and doing the vlogs for Danny or like for the Ferrari guy was awesome, but you know, just seeing my face and like hearing yourself talk, it's like a huge like downer, you know? So like, sitting there in front of your computer and trying to like do the behind the scenes and like talk about it is a whole different thing. So I'm definitely in that phase right now where I'm growing my YouTube to where I want to make tutorials. I've been making like cover art and stuff, so where when I get to that point, like I'll be ready for it. But editing those videos of me talking about like the behind the scenes, it's like so hard to like edit because I'm hearing my voice over and over again, and I'm like, delete. Like, I don't want to do it. So that's like you said, it's very valuable to be able to do that, but getting that confidence to where you could be in front of the camera, like both like, you know, this and behind the camera and behind the scenes is a huge thing. Like,
it's such a journey.
Yeah.
And I think, and what frustrates me is, you know, I was probably guilty of this when I was a little younger as well, is some people look upon the people that are in front of the camera and they're like, oh wow, you know, this person is just loves themselves, just trying to record themselves all the time, and it's like, no, that's so far from the truth.
Oh, so far from the truth, yeah.
Individuals like ourselves, you know, we're going through that process of like, right, let's get super comfortable on a camera, because actually right now, and going to be in the future for sure, being comfortable being filmed or whatever it is, it's going to be so valuable, like unreally, like it's going to be crazy. So it's definitely a journey. I feel you on that one.
Yeah. And that's like another part where I'm trying to grow my business for sure, is definitely like doing those tutorials, teaching people the behind the scenes. That's so valuable.
Yeah. And it's a great way to pay it back to people. You know, you're going through all of this right now, and we made plenty of mistakes with the podcast of doing different things wrong, and it's like just showing that to someone, us putting the effort to show that to someone is really valuable, because then they don't make the mistake and accelerates them to where they want to go way quicker.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I really wish I had those videos, you know, like maybe that I would create in the future of what I've done wrong, and like go back and be able to like fix so much of that and learn from it, because it does teach people a lot. Just like the mistakes alone that you do, it could help somebody else so far with value and like the knowledge. So that's definitely something to think about when I'm making those YouTube videos. It's like, what could I actually teach people? Like, not just the thing I'm talking about, like, you know, exposure, camera equipment, or whatever. It's all the extra stuff, you know, like you said, like the interacting, the clients, like, you know, the actual behind the scenes.
The actual business of running a business. Exactly, you know, it's so hard to capture, yet so valuable.
Definitely.
It's. And it's interesting because that's where, for me, that's where TikTok is going, you know. 2 weeks ago, TikTok passed YouTube on how-to videos. It was quite an interesting thing I saw, because I was I was kind of skeptical of TikTok. For leisure purposes, it's cool, and there's some really interesting content on there, I find. But I just thought it'd be similar to the Vine situation. It would be quite interesting for like a year, couple of years, and then it would die off. But actually it's making big moves in terms of the transition of where it's going, like how-to videos, and loads of businesses are jumping onto the marketing of it. So actually it is becoming something that could potentially stick around for a lot longer.
That's the hard part for me. I haven't found myself to be able to download it yet, but all my friends are like, hey, we just downloaded and made one video and I already have like 5,000 followers just from TikTok. I'm like, dang, but
it's huge.
It's almost like, in a way, it looks unprofessional, but it doesn't. You know, that's where my boundary is, like, because everything on there is like so random, or like Vine. You know, it's like, is this professional? Should I actually be doing this and whatnot? But a lot of people are saying it's a huge value to like have right now. So I'm just kind of seeing where it's going. Some people, you know, with the whole like thing like behind it about like recording and stuff and how they might delete TikTok in the United States. I've kind of been seeing what plays out with that, but if not, it might be something to jump onto.
Certainly, and you are right in terms of that professional balance. You know, we're lucky we have a brand that's less like serious in that sense. We don't have to be professional. We're not in front of big clients in the sense of trying to sell them a product or anything like that. You know, we're trying to share experience, document people's success, and we want just a wholesome, real experience of what that's like. You know, so we're lucky in the sense that we can dive into TikTok, have fun with it, not be too serious about it, and try and gain the following through there. But one of the pieces of advice I picked up about TikTok the other week was that you don't want your audience on there. TikTok is a great stream to attract them to you, but then you want to get them off to YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is. Is the big thing.
Smart you said that. I didn't even think about it kind of that way. It's like, not even that be your main source of like following or whatever, or like, you know, business, but to push them to. I didn't think about that. That's actually a good way to think about it. Like your main brand or your main social media or something, getting off TikTok. And
that's a huge consideration, I think, for any brand in terms of just where do you want people to go as well. It's like just one thing we started off, it's like, actually, where do we want them to go, you know? And for us, it's the website, because it has everything, including the podcast and all that we do. But it's like, okay, so how do we make it as simple as possible to go from Instagram to here, to go from TikTok to here, you know? And it's definitely a careful consideration to make, for sure. And but why social media is so powerful as well, because they make it so easy, you know?
Oh yeah,
just links in bios, buttons here and there,
and the fact that like you can gain millions of people to like watch your videos or your photos or something just by like the explore page, or, you know, like all that is like just amazing. How you could reach that many people just by social media is so powerful. It's such a powerful business tool to have, and like I definitely recommend it for anybody, including you guys. You know, like just to push it to your website, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. In big business are getting into it. For the TikTok example, is Chipotle did a promo like a month ago or something, and essentially you recorded your video of you doing the guac dance. Have you see that? Yeah. And so you had to record it. You had to then like tag the Chipotle TikTok in it and everything. Then you go to the counter at any Chipotle across the US and show them your video, and you got a free topping of guac for the day. The sales for Chipotle went through the roof. They saw the best sales they ever saw across that week. They ever saw, and it's like that's some huge. Yeah,
that's powerful.
Yeah,
that's very powerful.
And they jumped on that train pretty early. So yeah, it's definitely a tool to use. Any social media, to be honest.
Yeah.
The next thing I was going to ask you, as we kind of begin to wrap things up as well, is, so I want to get an equipment recommendation for you, you know, a photographer that's starting out, that wants to get more into things, photographer, videographer. What are some essential things that they're going to need?
So for photo or video, I would highly recommend like just a tripod or a monopod right away. Like that's definitely one of your first things you're going to want to use. Like for photo or video, you know, it might be a little harder to use. For video, you might have to upgrade a little bit for a more expensive tripod to be able to like pan and stuff. But that's a huge thing. Like for weddings that I use every day, to cars, anything. It's definitely mine's an expensive one with a pan tilt head and stuff, but that's something I recommend for sure. And then some other stuff is just like, like lav mics or like,
And these are like, I picked this one up for $18. I think off Amazon. They're nothing.
$20, and you can get a lav mic, and then they have these small pocket recorders too that I think are like $20-$30 too. So they're just made, or you can even plug them into your phone, kind of like we're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, highly recommend those. It'll like immediately increase your like value of your product. And then like more towards cameras, like it kind of depends on budget, but Sony has definitely been the way to go for me. Like once I upgraded from Nikon to Sony, it was definitely a huge upgrade for sure. Going from like the A6000, the Sony A6300 to like the Sony A7 III. Definitely the newer cameras are definitely better, but I can see where budget will stop you. But Sony is a great starting point for sure.
And what about in terms of editing and taking are you just an Adobe fan?
I am, just because of Photoshop and like Premiere. So yeah, I would definitely say like Final Cut or Adobe. Adobe has an awesome monthly subscription plan for $20 a month. You get almost all the apps. Okay. So you can't beat it. It's literally like an awesome investment. I used to pay $500-$600 a year just for Photoshop alone. Yeah, back in the day, way longer. It was like a valuable thing to have. Now it's like everyone has it on their phone.
Yeah.
So I think $20 a month, you get Premiere, you get Photoshop, Lightroom, you get all of it. It's like the best bang for your buck. I just recommend it. Yeah,
definitely. I found you can't really beat Adobe at the moment with that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
Although for video editing, it's like still Premiere's king, but like I feel so for myself, like I have vision for how I want to edit stuff. But in terms of like building things from scratch, I don't quite have I haven't been through that process of doing it yet, so I don't have it. So something like Final Cut Pro, where it's like it's much more drag and drop, is so much easier.
Definitely, it's very, very simpler to like do Final Cut Pro. I highly recommend it. It's just a little bit more expensive, so. From like the beginning standpoint, if you have that budget for Final Cut Pro, I would definitely recommend it. It's 10 times easier than Premiere. I would definitely use it, if I still had a Mac, but I have my PC, so I can't. But that I would recommend over Premiere any day of the week. But
the Final Cut Pro is doing a deal at the moment of $100 for students as well.
Dang. Wow.
300 down from 300, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think it's 300 or 500 or something. It used to be 500, maybe 300 down, but
I think it's down to about 100 at the moment. So
dang.
That's why we're purchasing it.
Yes, do it, please. Yeah, that's awesome. It's the best editing software in my mind, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
No, I love it. Well, I mean, it's been awesome having you on, Matt. I really appreciate you coming on and being on the podcast. We'll definitely bring you back on in like a year or so's time and see how that progress has gone with everything.
Let's do it,
because I'm just excited for you and where you're going, because genuinely believe, like with all I guess we're bringing on, we say we believe in their mission, we want to document their success and just get behind what they're doing, because we really do genuinely believe in the people that we bring on, but the final question I have for you is what is your final message to the audience and the people watching?
So I would probably say don't be afraid to change and grow. Like I took that huge step from quitting my business or quitting my job. To start my business and
quitting my business to start my job.
I took a huge investment loss also with this like COVID stuff going on. But don't be afraid to full on like jump in it, like and just do all of it. Like throw all your money to it. Do whatever you need to do to just do you or do whatever you want to do, because you will not regret it for sure. You will love it every second of it, and if you don't, you can always go back to it. You can always get another job, unless you're like fully deep into a job or something where you're later in your later years or something. But I would highly recommend just take the change, take it, and grow from it. Sure.
I love that. For particularly for people our age, when we haven't got the stuff to hold us down, or mortgage or family or whatever, we haven't got those things. So jumping into it right now, there's no excuse.
Another thing is also like don't be afraid to travel too. Some people are like, oh, it's like they're scared to like go halfway across the world to take like, you know, a schooling or something, you know, just do it. Like, you won't regret it at all. Like, you might be scared at first because, you know, you don't have family over there, or, you know, you don't have the help you need or something, but I believe, like, you know, if you really want it and you really are passionate about it, you'll do great.
Oh, for sure. Fantastic. I can be testament to that coming across here for schooling, you know. There's not been an easy process, but it's been super fun, and I've had some of the most biggest development I've in my life that I've met people like yourself, and that's and amazing. You
started this, right? You started Gen Z.
Exactly. I started a brand, and so there's no regrets from it. You can only grow and have fun, and it's just a consistent message with everybody that comes on, which I just love, and love getting behind, man. It's so important. But awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. Like I said at the start of this, you know, you can find this video on YouTube, and it will also be on our RSS feed if you're going to listen to it. But I would really recommend going on to the YouTube. You know, it's our first in-person one. I'm so excited to do them finally in person, because I think it just adds more to it. But yeah, we'll have much more of these to come. We're going to finish as we always do. Cheers for now.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right. As always, head over to the Instagram and Facebook at Gen Z Journey, where you can get an inside scoop of what's going on behind the scenes, as well as seeing the exciting guests that are coming on for that week. But above all else, thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate all your participation, and we're excited you're on this journey with us. See you next time.